Hi there, welcome to the channel. This is Beyond Disclosure and I'm Corey. And in today's video, me and Lem catch up and we have a discussion about the recent events involving the secret SCIF meeting between US Congress people and the Inspector General of the intelligence community, Thomas Monheim. Thomas Monheim took the whistleblower complaint from David Grusch and has been the person investigating those claims. He also deemed David Grusch's whistleblower complaint as credible and urgent. US Congress have had some issues trying to track down the truth behind David Grusch's claims, but as you'll see from the reactions of the Congress people coming out of the recent SCIF meeting, it seems like they might have got some good information. This was a really fun conversation for me and Lem to have. We covered not only what happened in the meeting and what the information we got coming out of it, but also what's happening next and what this might mean. So thanks for joining us in this video. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please like and subscribe and leave comments below. Thanks. Let's get into it.
We've just had the second SCIF meeting. Surprisingly, it kind of went how we hoped it would go. I know we speculated on what we thought might come out and what we kind of wanted to come out of that meeting, and a lot of that seems to have come to fruition. So that's really good news, I think.
You're right. Like this is what we were saying we were hoping was the best outcome. It's like, we're not getting any secrets just yet, but the Congress people seem pretty pumped up about it. It's actually probably better than I thought. The outcome.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we're all, especially after the first one, we were all super skeptical. I mean, you listen to anyone. Ross Coulthart was skeptical. Richard Dolan was skeptical. Everyone was skeptical. Maybe the only one who wasn't as skeptical was Jeremy Corbell, but he's generally a pretty optimistic guy. But yeah, even you and I were like, well, the best we could kind of hope for is, maybe some field hearings and another hearing and possibly some names to the Congress people so they can follow up on it. And it looks like we might have got all of that and maybe a little bit more.
Pretty soon after this recent SCIF, we had some tweets coming out by some of the Congress people saying, get ready for some more public hearings.
Tim Burchett made direct reference to that in that, I think it might have been a News Nation interview. They were asking him about the hearings and if there were going to be more hearings. And he said, yeah, and I'm going to keep the names of the whistleblowers. We're going to keep the names of the whistleblowers to ourselves this time.
What comes next in your view?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm going to be working with the chairman to get us an excellent list of witnesses for this next hearing. And I'm not going to release them because the last time I did that, the folks were literally told not to come.
By who?
We were told by NASA, a quasi branch of NASA, other groups. They claim they didn't do it, but the folks told me they did. And we'd asked over a dozen folks, that's 12. And we ended up with 3 excellent witnesses that put their love of this country over the love of themselves.
Luna's tweet, field hearing, just for those who might not understand what a field hearing is or means, do you want to just explain a little bit what's going to be part of a field hearing?
The field hearing that Gates and crew did before the public hearing, I think was a bit more informal. I don't think they had any kind of subpoena power because they then had to make phone calls to get the military to let them in and let them speak to some people. But from what I've heard, this next one will possibly be a bit more, have a bit more power in that regard, in that they can compel people to answer. And if they don't give truthful answers, then they'll be, they can be held in contempt, something equivalent like that.
Basically they can just show up wherever they want, unannounced.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that. Look, in the government, you're never unannounced. Even if you go in unannounced, you will be announced, and especially the military, they don't know when you're coming. But I think it'd be a case of like you wouldn't have to apply to go. You're just going to say, "I'm coming." Have someone meet us at the gate, and we're going to want a high-ranking person to be there.
That's the big one, yeah. So do you want to?
That's what we were kind of hoping for. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, field hearing that did happen before the public hearing back in August last year. That yielded some of the most interesting comments from
Oh,
Matt Gaetz that he presented in that public hearing. Yeah, he was saying some pretty crazy stuff.
The image was of something that I am not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or from any of our adversaries.
This week on Capitol Hill, Representative Matt Gaetz shared information on a UFO sighting in Northwest Florida in a House Oversight Subcommittee hearing. Representative Gaetz, who appeared as a guest in the hearing, testified he saw the radar images from the flying objects. He says the flight crew observed 4 aircrafts in a diamond formation on radar. One pilot who captured a photo of the UFO reports seeing a large floating orb.
And when he approached, he said that his radar went down, he said that his FLIR system malfunctioned, and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection, as you would typically see in a test mission.
Because he talked about seeing something that he couldn't explain as from this world. So
and I think what was really telling about that whole thing, because we all know there's got to be really good pictures and really good stuff out there, but what was really telling was how they were stonewalled, like really hard. They go in and they're the representatives, and as I think Matt references, the way that power works is that you work for us and we work for the people, so you got to get in line. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, especially now that they have more names and places. I wonder where they're going to go. Even if they just rock up somewhere and don't get in, if it's somewhere that we don't really know about publicly, that's already going to be a big giveaway.
After the hearing, the Congress people got interviewed.
It is clear that lawmakers learned something new at this meeting. We've interviewed them when they've come out of other briefings, and they'll say, oh, that was a complete waste of time. They didn't say that today, and it seems, based on our interviews with them after the briefing ended, that they left feeling more confident in David Grush's story.
It's reasonable to say that everyone that was in the room received probably new information. I certainly did. And
this meeting, unlike the one we had previously when we did this briefing, this one actually moved the needle.
A group of bipartisan lawmakers talking after a secret meeting with the Inspector General of the intelligence community. The topic, what the government knows about UFOs.
It's giving me a more clear perspective, a little bit more of a clear perspective. Before, it's very blurry. Everything is extremely blurry.
The House lawmakers are not saying much, but they are saying enough to make clear that they believe at least some of what former intel official and UFO whistleblower David Grush alleges, that the government knows about UFOs, or UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
I believe that he's telling the truth. I think that he is a credible witness, and what I can also say is one thing in particular that really caused me to be concerned about this whole thing is that Grush had stated to myself, Representative Burchett, and another member on the phone that there were people that were hurt hiding this information and keeping this information safe and or trying to come forward with this information. What I can tell you is I believe that claim after now leaving.
Almost all of the lawmakers said they left the secret meeting with more questions, but also with clues about what parts of whistleblower David Grush's testimony will lead to answers.
I think it's incredibly important to listen to the specific words that Grush uses. Grush never said extraterrestrial or alien. He said interdimensional. I think that that's incredibly important because those are the types of things that when we go in there, there's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that.
There's also a renewed push for another public UFO hearing to continue the push for transparency.
It's got me focused on who we need to be bringing into the hearing. As I've stated, it's not about little green men and flying saucers. The issue is tens of millions of dollars on an issue that we've been told does not exist since 1947, yet they're spending that money on researching something.
So yeah, some really interesting feedback from the Congress people there. For me, the most interesting comments were definitely from Luna. She's quite,
like I said, she's right. Yeah, I think she got, as I said, it feels like she got a little bit rattled, but that sort of put her on a track where she's like, okay, we've got to do this now. I mean, she was always a really big supporter and part of the major UAP caucus. But yeah, it seems there's another level now.
She's quite confident that David Grush's story is true, and he's a credible witness, and she believes what he's telling us. And then she goes on to talk about people that may have been hurt in the process of holding this information or protecting this information.
But I think that's one of the big things that's keeping the secrecy up, is that, yeah, there's been some dirty games. Like Grush has said he was threatened, you know. It's not an uncommon story for other whistleblowers who have said similar things, you know. They get threats. He said, Grush stated people have died because, you know, they threatened to leak this secret. So, I mean, that's going to look pretty bad on a government's hands, that they've denied this topic the whole time, and yet, you know, they've killed people to keep that secret.
My mind also went to maybe the possibility of maybe there's some historical cases with more well-known figures in history that aren't so recent, maybe go back quite a long way, that might be people that have famously come to their demise. And the big one is it possible that this goes back to JFK and the secrecy with JFK? Is that possible? What do you think?
One, yes, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was literally driving home today and I had a very, very similar thought, in that I think the UAP conspiracy, if you will, ties to almost every other conspiracy. I think it's probably a part of it. Like you said, it's almost certainly a part of JFK. I mean, a lot of people have come out who have done a lot of serious research and linked the JFK assassination to the UAP topic. But absolutely, I think it's one of those threads that if you pull, the whole thing unravels. Not just the UAP thing unravels. It's the whole, and maybe not the whole thing, but at least some other things that aren't to do with UAPs are going to come undone as well.
The other big comment that Anna Paulina Luna made was about David Grush's language around extraterrestrial versus interdimensional. She said, there's certain things that he's saying that you guys really need to listen closely to.
There's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that. There's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that.
But to me, that was a big comment. That last little line she says there is a big statement, because to me it says what she heard in the hearing has something to do with confirming any ideas about interdimensional.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think that's what kind of, you know, probably shook her a fair bit, and that's going to be a big part of it. I mean, we can have an idea of interdimensionality. I mean, I sort of have an idea of interdimensionality, but when you're presented with it, another being an interdimensional being, or being an interdimensional craft, it's going to be a really big pill to swallow, I think. And then who knows what it actually means?
Is it possible that humans, maybe for a long time, have worked out how to, I'm not going to say go into another dimension, but maybe project things from another dimension, or utilize another dimension somehow to project things back into the third dimension? What sort of technology could humans have in working with other dimensions?
Yeah. So an interdimensional technology sort of thing. Have we? Well, I mean, supposedly we've got the craft. It seems like that's what these craft are, but have we worked it out to that level? And that's actually a big question going at the moment is, okay, everyone on this side of the fence knows we're pretty much where we are. One of the big questions still left unanswered is, how far along the road have they come with the reverse engineering? You know, there's speculation that we've traveled the galaxy already. There's speculation that they haven't really worked out much of anything.
Yeah.
And everything in between. So
I think what the people in the know are probably preparing for now is possibly, what can we still keep secret? You know, once things start unraveling, we've got to talk about Roswell. Maybe we need to talk about alien abductions. You know, there's going to be so much that we're going to be forced to disclose that we can't get past. There's going to be so much disinformation we can feed into it as well. And then there could be a whole range of stuff beyond that they're like, it doesn't matter how many threads people pull on, they're not going to get this far. We've got, you know, maybe there's possibly different stages of this as well. We've got the reverse engineering program and communicating with NHIs, and we understand
deals with NHIs.
And we understand we've got some new science, and we understand alien abductions. But you know what? We've got bases on the moon. They're working on that stuff far, far away. No one's going to get there and find it. There's no ties back to that project just yet. So we don't need to uncover that. We don't need to talk about that stuff yet.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how much we'll get, but it definitely won't be everything all at once. I can't see how it could possibly be that. And I think what we were talking about before with the energy technology, that will be one of the ones held back, at least I think for a very long time, in the name of national security or something like that. Yeah, it was a fairly successful skiff, and let's hope for some field hearings and public hearings pretty soon.
Been a big week, and the more I think about it, the more excited I've been about the results of the reactions from the Congress people on the skiff meeting. I think it's pretty exciting stuff ahead. 2024 looks like it's going to blow some hair back. Cheers, Lem.
No worries. We'll see you next week for the regular podcast.